Hey everyone, and welcome back. We are so pumped you're joining us today because honestly, we've got a truly fascinating explainer lined up for you. Today, we're unpacking something that has sent absolute shockwaves through the software development world. We're talking about Google Antigravity.
That's right. We're going to cut right through the marketing hype today, dig deep into the actual architecture, and figure out what this platform actually means for the future of coding.
Now, I know exactly what some of you are probably thinking right now. When you hear Google Antigravity, is this just a joke? You're probably picturing that famous old search engine Easter egg where the whole UI just totally falls apart and drops to the bottom of the screen. Right. But let's ground this conversation right off the bat. The late 2025 version of Google Antigravity is definitely not a physics playground. It's a very real, incredibly powerful, and frankly, highly controversial coding tool. It represents a massive paradigm shift in how we interact with AI. So here's our roadmap for today. First, the agent-first evolution. Then, mission control for code.
After that, we'll cover who is anti-gravity for and look at anti-gravity vs. the competition.
And finally, we'll tackle security flaws and trust before wrapping up with the verdict and next steps.
All right, let's dive right into Section 1, the agent-first evolution. This is all about moving way beyond simple autocomplete.
So what exactly do we mean by an agentic development platform? The absolute key here is that it treats the AI not just as some passive tool waiting around for a prompt, but as an actual autonomous worker.
Exactly. We're talking about deploying independent AI agents that can literally plan out a complex task, execute the code, validate whether it actually worked, and then iterate on it all by themselves. The whole focus has completely shifted from you writing code to you orchestrating it.
Launched in public preview on November 18, 2025, the architecture here is just bold. It's free for individuals right now, but it's not just some standard extension you plug into your current setup. It is a standalone, heavily modified fork of Visual Studio Code.
Totally. And while it's clearly built to showcase Google's Gemini 3 Pro model, it gives you incredible optionality. You get full support for Anthropic's Claude 4.5, plus open source models like GPTOS right out of the box.
Moving on to Section 2, mission control for code. Let's look at how these autonomous agents actually operate.
So, how does this actually play out once you fire it up? Well, the workflow runs in 3 distinct steps. First up, the agent creates an implementation plan. Next, it executes. And by that, I mean it autonomously writes the code and actually runs its own terminal commands. Finally, it verifies that work using an integrated browser to literally test everything. And to make sure you can actually trust what the AI is doing, these agents create verifiable deliverables called artifacts. We're talking task lists, screenshots, even full browser recordings, so you know exactly what the AI did and, more importantly, why it did it.
To support all that autonomy, the interface gives you a few unique views. You've got your standard editor view, sure, but the real magic is in the manager view. This is literally like mission control. You can orchestrate multiple parallel agents working asynchronously across your entire workspace, complete with that integrated browser for automated UI testing.
Oh, and there's also a highly recommended review-driven development mode. Basically, this forces the agent to pause and get a human's approval before it finalizes any big decisions. It's an absolutely crucial safety net.
Okay, Section 3. Who is anti-gravity for? Let's figure out the sweet spot for adoption.
I want you to listen to this glowing review we found from a DevOps engineer over on Reddit. They said, the super intern factor. It handles all the soul-crushing boilerplate. Honestly, Google Antigravity is a total sleeper hit for R&D and MLOps. And it really earns that praise, because for those day-to-day grinds, running obscure commands, writing glue code, or analyzing messy logs, Antigravity absolutely thrives. It understands the actual context of those logs, which is a total game changer for highly technical, localized workflows.
But okay, let's get real for a second. If you're dealing with a massive enterprise legacy code base, something spanning like 50 to 500 repositories, Antigravity is going to struggle right now. That's because of its workspace local indexing and its reliance on standard RAG architecture. When RAG chunks up your code, it basically severs the connections between distributed microservices. It just can't aggregate the context across those massive interconnected architectures yet.
Which brings us to Section 4, Antigravity versus the competition. Let's put it head-to-head with some established tools.
Looking at the architecture, Antigravity forces a total IDE replacement, since it's a VS Code fork. And here's the kicker. It has 0 JetBrains support. So, if your backend team relies on IntelliJ, Antigravity is literally going to lock them out. Now compare that to an open source assistant like Continue. Continue is a native extension. It just slides right into your existing VS Code or JetBrains setups, keeping all your team's flexibility intact without forcing a massive overhaul.
And if we're talking about enterprise maturity, Google Antigravity is still highly experimental. Right now, there is zero documented code review workflow automation. But then you look at a tool like GitLab Duo, that's a Gartner-leading extension deeply integrated into the DevSecOps lifecycle. It gives you native pull request automation and a massive 200,000 token context window. For big teams trying to eliminate PR bottlenecks, that kind of maturity is just essential.
Next up, Section 5, Security Flaws and Trust. This is the enterprise reality check.
Honestly, you guys, this is probably the most critical part of today's explainer. Looking at this timeline on the screen, it is pretty shocking.
It is wild. Google officially launches Antigravity in public preview on November 18th. Literally the very next day, November 19th, researchers at Pillar Security found a critical sandbox escape flaw that let attackers execute arbitrary code remotely. And the day after that, November 20th, MindGuard AI reported persistent code execution risks. Turns out, the exact autonomy that makes this agent so incredibly powerful is also what makes it so vulnerable.
And because of those severe vulnerabilities, the platform is missing some major compliance certifications. We're talking no SOC 2 Type 2, no ISO 27001, no FedRAMP, and absolutely no HIPAA compliance documentation. Without those badges of honor, procurement teams in regulated fields like finance, healthcare, or government are going to block this platform from getting anywhere near their environments.
All right, Section 6, the verdict and next steps. Should you actually use Google Antigravity?
So here's the breakdown. If you're an MLOps engineer or a dedicated VS Code developer, taking Google Antigravity for a pilot run could totally give you that super intern productivity boost we talked about.
But if you're on a JetBrains polyglot team working in a mixed environment, you're going to want to stick with Continue to maintain your flexibility.
And for the regulated enterprises out there dealing with legacy code bases and strict security requirements, proven tools like GitLab Duo or Gemini Code Assist are definitely the safer bet right now.
Look, if you found this explainer helpful, please go ahead and hit that like button and make sure you follow our channel for more deep dives just like this one.
And seriously, share this with your engineering team. This is exactly the kind of conversation every single development pod needs to be having right now if they want to stay ahead of the curve. But before we go, we really want to know what you think. Knowing the potential for this massive productivity boost, but also seeing those very real security risks, would you trust an autonomous AI agent to execute code in your environment today? Let us know. Drop your thoughts down in the comments.
Thanks so much for watching, and as always, keep learning.